Our opening song is by Stephen Cogswell. It's called Succulent. Get it at awtfy.com. That's awtfy.com/meal.
Hey, bitches, I'm back! It's been a while!
Man, it's been a while for all of us. God damn. God damn. Yo, 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 yo.
In a moment, your performer will come out and perform his full routine. Instead of illusions, you will receive verbal clues as to what the illusions look like and when they are completed. Please react as if you had saw the completed illusion. Thank you. Yo, 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 yo. Fucking annoying and awkward.
Red leather, yellow leather, moxicillin, Italian moxicillin from Italia, Italian.
Yeah. Fuck Saskatchewan. I'm not even sure that shit's real.
Oh my God. I can't believe it's happened again. Not today, Satan. Here we are, still broadcasting live on Tuesday nights from Austin, Texas. It's Night Attack, bringing you the best of the worst of the internet ever since anybody was paying attention. Hello, you beautiful bastards. It's me, Brian Brushwood, in AUS, joined by my BFF and OAK. It's JRY, Justin Robert Young. How are you, sir?
Oh, Brian. That's the telltale natural sound of me forgetting to turn off the mute button. But you want to know what? I'm happy that I figured out how to turn off the mute button because we have a hell of a show here. Now, normally, of course, Brian, you and I are well known for planning and promoting things.
They used to call us Pry and the Prepared is what they used to do.
It was, yeah, no, we had those airbrush jackets, and it was...
I forget what the pry stood for, but it sounds kind of like prepare.
You were like, you would pry into people's lives because
right.
It takes so much to prepare, right?
Yeah,
like
it was... or maybe it was try and prepare is what they used to call us.
Well, I mean, after the Reformation, of course, we had to change it. Anyway, we're not that anymore. Now we don't plan, and we never know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which...
We do have a guest that we would normally like make a big deal about and hype for weeks. But hell, you get him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Heaton joins us.
Huzzah!
Hello!
Mighty Heaton!
Hello, Brian. Hello, Justin. Hello, Bryce.
Hello, Andrew.
And hello, audience.
Hi,
Look
thank you.
at that.
Someone has acknowledged me.
Man, that grin on Bryce was ear to ear. He was like, oh my God,
Finally.
this guy's got class.
Can I give you my initial assessment of how to describe the program? This is what I've come up with.
Okay, got it.
I think this show is like Alice in Wonderland as done by Electric Light Orchestra. That is my interpretation of the mood of the place that I am at.
It's AIW by ELO.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this was a bit of a thrown together affair. Normally, you're not available on Tuesday nights.
Well, now I can kind of do whatever I want, Brian. Yeah.
Justin, you want to walk us through this?
Andrew, you, I mean, geez.
Shall I frame it?
Yes.
I would feel very, very, very happy if you
Sure.
framed it.
I'll frame it.
Okay.
So, I just finished my show.
Oh, well put.
It was called Something's Off with Andrew Heaton, which you guys were beloved and regular fixtures of.
Oh my God! It was not only my second favorite political podcast to listen to.
Well done.
Close save.
It's good there. Yeah.
But it was certainly my favorite podcast to ever get the chance to appear on.
Thank
you.
you.
It was so much fun because the opportunity to have a reason where I needed to be informed, but also have the playground to be funny was so rare.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make the boring part. The boring thing was that I wanted to emphasize that good and intelligent people can disagree on matters of substance, but I thought a good way to do that would be bringing on comedians, get our foreign policy from a magician, and things like that, doing that. So, yeah, I was doing that. It was a fun program. It ended. I have now gone a separate way from the network, and so now I am free to do whatever I want, including just randomly calling Brian going, hey, I've got a glut of free time. Shall I come down to Austin and see you and get Torchy's tacos?
Hells yeah.
So now the apostrophe S is was.
Yes, something's
Something was off.
something was off with Andrew Heaton. Yeah.
Something was off with Andrew Heaton.
So your new project could be called "But It's All Fine Now" with Andrew Heaton.
Yeah.
And just to get the kind of the news element out of the way, the last episode will air tomorrow.
So we're recording this live Tuesday night. Where are we in the time-space continuum at the moment?
Yeah. We're still on
Wednesday
Tuesday
or
night.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, the final episode will be tomorrow. It'll be nice. It'll be funny. It'll be classic.
Wednesday. So yeah, if you're
We'll all
listening to
hug
this-
each other like the end of Mary Tyler Moore.
There we go. So go back and listen to it. And also, if you have not listened to Something's Up with Andrew Heaton, blame yourself.
I would love for, now that it's done, I would love for your audience to fall in love with it and then feel
fall
bad.
in love with this, brilliant but canceled show. So go ahead and make sure you go and listen to it and support it. But more importantly, where can people go? Because you've got awesome stuff in the pipeline. Where can people go to make sure that they are hip to the new stuff?
This is what I would do. For your listeners that are unfamiliar with me, but they're falling in love with my dulcet baritone voice and the banter that I have had with Bryce.
All right, pause. Justin, there's not even words on a screen. This is all really happening now. If the words were a lie. If the words were a lie.
Yeah, but hold on. Brian, we actually just need to genuflect at the altar of Something's Off. But please, I don't want to step on this plug. Where
Well, so what I
can
was gonna
people
say is-
go and find stuff?
Yeah, if people are like, oh, I like that guy, he's a fun guy, go to my website, it's mightyheaton.com, subscribe to my newsletter. I am too lazy to do it very often, but I'm going to have there are cool projects in the pipeline. And if you get subscribed onto that, then you can find me and be along for the ride.
So mightyheaton.com, and then you click on the right-hand corner, you'll see newsletter.
Or just mightyheaton.com/newsletter. It'll get you to the same place.
Okay,
yeah.
but this is the important one. Everybody who's loved any of Justin and my appearances on the show, anybody who has adored a nonpartisan, non-team-based, non-tribalistic approach to politics, which I think is very, very important this age, absolutely, this is the call to action. If you are our friend, then why don't you subscribe to the newsletter of our friend?
Yeah.
This is very, very important. Because
If you've never heard Something's Off, but you like what I do politically, you like politics, then just trust me. Trust me on this one. Go right now.
My show was similar to your show, only with more horse jokes and less analysis of the actual politicking.
Your show was like my show, but with talent. So this gets us into the amazing thing, and it's funny because Brian and I have spent a period of time talking with you as life is kind of happening, but I've spent so much time thinking about your show.
Thank you.
And thinking about the awesome things that will come next, and I was just like, man, the more even further we get away from it, I'm like, that dude wrote 2 monologues.
Thank you.
Every day, 5 days a week. He wrote 2 monologues. And by the way, no writing staff. I mean, I think he probably bounced stuff off Jennings.
Yep,
maybe.
that was pretty much it. We would sit down and go, hey, what kind of crazy advertisement? Well, what about a bath that eats chicken or something? We'd have to come up with stuff like that and be like, well, we got 20 minutes, man. All right, let's go for it.
It's like hilarious stuff. And even like now knowing, I was listening to the show today, which was about the Fermi paradox.
That was our if I have to go to the hospital program, we were like, we need to have one in the can. It was good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't really political. It was about the Fermi paradox. But I was just like, I really want to talk about it. And I want to have something in the can. And then so when we concluded the relationship between me and the network, I was like, go ahead and blow out the last couple episodes.
It is kind of funny because I downloaded it this afternoon and listened to it thinking it was your last episode, and I'm like, oh man. How punk rock.
You just thought this was the most...
To remind people that there are other stars that they can visit.
This is the most oblique possible, weird Philip Glass sign-off.
I just thought that you were going to do this whole big talk with you and Jennings about the Fermi paradox, and then in the final thing, it's like, and in summation, I'm gone.
And I believe this is the natural conclusion to the program.
And then you're just like the music, you'd be out, and that was it.
I'm seeing a little bit of chatter on Twitch TV. There's crossover between your program and mine.
Very
and
strong.
So there's a final episode, and it'll be nice, and it'll it's funny. You'll get a little dose of it, and it also alludes to a glorious future in other ways.
Okay. Do we not want another call to action?
I mean, I can. I'll say, like, if you are already a Heaton fan, I'm honestly not sure what the next direction is going to be, because I've got about 5 different projects I'm scoping out. But I might continue to do political stuff because I do really. I'm a political orphan. I don't have a camp that I'm in. I feel like there's all of these angry people at the edges throwing bricks at each other, and then there's a bunch of us that are like, I just showed up for brisket. Why is everyone yelling? What can we just think? Can we talk? So like, I feel like there is this huge group of people that are kind of exhausted and enjoy thinking.
Okay, so like a bunch of political orphans.
A bunch of political orphans.
And wouldn't it be great if they could all gather in like a political orphanage where they could be made to feel safe and understand what's going on the landscape without this red team, blue team horse shit?
Exactly. That is 100% what I'm doing. And so I have set up a Patreon page, patreon.com/Andrew Heaton. And if you go there and you're interested, this is a route that I'm looking at, and that would be the way to nudge me that direction. If you want me to keep doing combinations of horse jokes and nonpartisan political analysis.
Man, you have no idea. Like,
Wait, no, there's nobody there. God,
oh shit, I can be the first. Fuck.
No,
Log in.
So this is the part of the show where we are going to have to talk, Andrew, because they are busy doing computer stuff. So do you... I'll see it now. They're going to... Do you have ideas for what you'll put out through the Patreon yet?
You mean in terms of the prizes and things?
Yeah, or just like what you're going to post.
Well,
is it going to be podcast? Is it going to be written?
Yes, yeah. So what I'm thinking is, I've been doing. Justin alluded to the sheer amount of content that we were doing on Something's Off with Andrew.
You were doing like 4 or 5 days a week.
5
right?
days a week, which is, and particularly if you're doing writing on top of that, and I got to say, if you're not engaging in culture war stuff, which is a lot of political media, is like
being online, being an online guy.
An angry person shouted at another, and you're trying to do policy, or whatever. It is a tremendous amount. So what I'm looking to do is I'll probably do a weekly podcast.
Okay.
It'll probably be longer.
Yeah.
It'll be more in depth, and I'm hoping I think it'll be funnier because I'll actually have time to catch my breath. Because even though I did a lot of sketches that I'm really proud of, at the same time though, there were a couple of times where I came in and I'm like, okay, all right. Something about you're in a tornado and you're eating ham and so like now I can actually catch my breath and do it.
And there's more space to breathe, right?
Yeah.
You can give every news story time to settle as the week goes by.
I think I'm going to have more of a meta picture because I can actually I can kind of step back and look at it and see how I want to do it. And because I'm not doing it with the studio anymore, or at least not planning to, can set my own time. So previously, we had both a TV component and a podcast component.
Right, you had a scheduled shoot time.
So if we hit like 12:30, there was a contract for all the production guys. They had to go to lunch. So if I'm in the middle of a really good conversation with Jonah Goldberg about Battlestar Galactica or whatever, we got to stop it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's I got my astronaut underwear and I can stick in as long as I need to.
That's right. The webcam's not going to turn off at 12:30.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So probably something like that. Yeah.
Damn it, my card got declined. Fuck this. Fuck your
That
page.
guy you took it from looked really legit though, Brian. I would think that it would work out.
God damn it.
You could be number 5.
I did. So one of my favorite parts was of my weekend was you calling and us going on for like 30 minutes.
You got
about how great the
you
the
guys
Reason
were
sketch
thrilled.
was. And then you're like, oh, by the way, we're done with Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. And then all of a sudden I realized like, oh, new category. And so I go on for like an hour. How it's like, I don't know if you know this, but we used to be with the network, and then we went independent. Turned out it was a pretty good gig.
Calling you guys was the absolute best thing I could have done. Because like my parents, understandably, were like, "Do you need to come stay here? Do you should we come down to you?" And you guys were like, "This is the beginning of the next day of your life. It's all this is the launch pad moment. You hit the red button, you're on a rocket."
There was definitely a I have at least some money and I could get a van and and I'm like, what are you talking about? You're holding armloads of rocket fuel and you've been granted permission for liftoff. What are you doing?
Look, and I was thrilled mostly because I think that what you were doing there was awesome. I loved being a part of it, but it was such a slog, man. Like you were doing so much stuff, and 5 days a week is just a grind. Like that is not the show that is for your talent. Like I'm so excited to watch you do a weekly show that like you can work on and can be kind of whatever it wants. It doesn't need to fit into any kind of specific ideology because the place that you were at, I think they gave you a lot of freedom, but
they did. They gave me, I'll put it, like I was at the Blaze. They gave me full autonomy, which I was very, very grateful for. It was very, very nice of them to do. However, I will say I don't think I was a really good fit at the Blaze. Like, they were doing their own thing, and mine was I was doing kind of a different program, and I would like to see when Cut Adrift how that goes.
And there was a moment where I was on the phone with you, and you're like, yeah, like I don't know if I really want to do politics, and I'm like, you shut your mouth.
Well, I gotta say, there's still a part of me that is like, I don't know.
No, I'm saying, look. You have until next November, and then you're allowed to quit. You need to be here.
Like, steward the country through the election, and then once
can't
Justin
rest.
Amash gets elected, my work here is done, and then just like fade, like dissolve into a Force ghost from Star Wars.
I can't rest knowing that I had a say in the cosmic balance of whether or not I got to hear you make jokes about this election, and that I allowed you to drift off into space like that. This absolutely needs to happen because I don't know. You have such a great comedic perspective on it, and to be totally honest with you, and this is something that we haven't even really talked about, but like I really think like lean into the comedy stuff. I think the best episode that you did on Something's Off with Andrew Heaton was a Christmas special.
Oh God, yes, a very snubbish Christmas. That's the best thing I've ever done. Like just in general. Thank you because I that was my favorite episode.
It was one of the funniest things, just comedically. A lot of it wasn't political. A lot of it was
really the only political thing was I had Bernie Sanders giving his rendition of A Christmas Carol. Yeah. So it's just a lot of like all these coal orphans being marched around by Ebenezer Scrooge. Like it was just a lot of that. But the rest of it though, it was mostly like weird horse jokes.
Because it was, number one, they were all horse jokes.
Yeah.
Which,
well, because then the premise for anybody unfamiliar with it, like on Something's Off, I guess I can tip the deck now that the programs, none of the commercials were real.
What?
They were all fake.
Who's been taking my credit card information? And I've never seen a single horse.
Yeah. So the original show sponsor was Snuffy's, which is a diner where the wait staff takes your orders from a horse. And also delivers them from a horse. And I would like...
Oh, I thought you meant like through a horse.
No, that would...
An intermediary.
Where like they'd like clop, they do like Morse code or something.
No. I would imagine they whisper in the horse's ear.
They play
the
telephone.
Horse looks over at you. You give your order. And it's like, you whisper like, does he want cocoa with that? And the horse goes back and says, nay.
So I had Snuffy's, and so Snuffy's was by far the favorite sponsor of the program. And so for the Christmas special, the premise to the Christmas special is we are going to let our show sponsor write the entire Christmas program. So it's people obsessed with horses writing a Christmas special, and had all sorts of. It was very absurd, but it was really funny.
There was the one story you had in there of that, like you kind of kept alluding to the punchline that a guy's wife was cheating on.
Yeah.
Like I can't even spoil it for people. You just need to go listen. It's really funny. But when I think about like, okay, well, what's the big beautiful future of Andrew Heaton? It's like that. Like I just want that.
I would love
every once in a while.
I would love to just do comedy and occasionally use politics as the improv prompt. Give me a word. Collusion. Okay. We're going to do a sketch based on that. Let's see here. I'm a beaver and I'm getting divorced and you're whatever. Yeah.
I just think that's the thing that you could never do on a daily show, because a daily show has to revolve around you have to refill that bucket literally every day. So it's like you can't put in the time and effort to say like, okay, well let's do something a lot more. I mean, and look, and in the context of a daily show, you made a cinematic fucking universe about horse cafes throughout Central Texas. Like there was like, cause they just to put people into context, it started with Snuffy's, and then there was like the Horseless Diner.
Yeah, Nick's Horseless Diner.
Yeah. And then there was a Yelp review war between the two. Like it was
Nick's Horseless Diner. The follow up to Snuffy's. The premise is it's a diner where there's never horses. And I'm like, well, hold on. Why is this a thing? I thought all home diners didn't have. Why would you think that a diner would have horses? And yeah.
Question: Did you register politicalorphanage.com?
No.
Well, good news, because guess what happens when you go there? It takes you to patreon.com/Andrew Heaton.
Thank God. Did you order it?
No. That's the beautiful look. Those are the demon hordes of the internet protecting their own, man.
Wow. Thank you, demon hordes.
That's freaking amazing, dude. Man. I gotta tell you, there were, as much as you want to focus on the comedy, it was a real treat to have a reason to study before each of the appearances.
And you were good. I got to say, you were great about that, because I would like lob something at you, and I'd be like, "Listen, can you read the first quarter of Ludwig von Mises's tome? We're going to talk about the Laffer curve in German," and you'd be like, "All right, man."
We ended up doing like 50 minutes on the story of Venezuela and how stuff got so bizarre there. And I didn't know. I guess I wasn't super dialed in on how long your programs normally go. But you were like, "Well, that's twice as long as we usually go." I'm like, "Oh man, I still got more."
Yeah.
You know, it was. I really am excited to see what comes next, and the idea of having a bigger playground to do more of the same. The insights are wonderful. The comedy's a blast. It's so good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you guys were both phenomenal guests to have on it. You're both funny. You're both thoughtful. You're both intelligent. I think you're both within that political orphan sphere of not having a team that you're swinging for, which is great. And
you lost the audience when you said intelligent. That was your mistake, sir.
I was talking to Bryce.
No, you're a big fucking liar.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. Like, no, that was, I really enjoyed doing it. It was a great opportunity. The main reason I went in, as I mentioned earlier, is I wanted. I've worked in political media for several years now. I've had my eye on political media across the field.
But on top of that, like you've got legit street cred. Like you worked in what capacity in Congress or with whom?
I got yelled at by old people in Congress. Yes, I did work for Congress, but I mostly got yelled at by old people. However, I got to say that I've got more understanding of Congress as a result of that. No,
isn't that kind of the description of every job in Congress? Like, every job in Congress on some level is getting yelled at old people.
Yeah, you're right. I just had to do it over the phone as opposed to some smoky bar where there's like political action committees discussing contributions and that kind of thing. Yeah, I did that. I worked for Congress for a bit, and I was working for them at the same time I was learning to do stand-up comedy. Yeah. And so and DC is a great place to learn stand-up comedy, because it's like everybody's from out of town wanting to meet people. Everyone's probably drunk and trying to get laid, and there's just so it was a fun place to try that out. So I was working for Congress during the day, and then at night I was doing stand-up. I went back to Scotland where I used to live, and I was getting a master's degree in international politics, and I kept doing comedy. And then I moved back to Washington, and I finally had a.
What's it like to do stand-up comedy in a different country? I mean, yes, you at least don't have the language barrier. Yeah. But you do have a cultural to an extent.
It is different.
Yeah, you can't understand what the hecklers are saying. That's all it boils down to.
You civil on the paint now. What now? Oh, you in my life. You miss some of the parts. No, it is different, because in the United States, we've got like a really cozy relationship between stand-ups and audiences here. Like, it's like I've done a lot of shows, and like particularly when you're starting out, you screw up a lot. Sure. And audiences, they want you to do well. Like, and I've seen a lot of people that really fall flat on their face, and the audience is like, "Hey, good job," like they're trying for you. In Scotland, it's kind of like we're doing in America. We've got like the equivalent of baseball and stand-up with our relationship. They've got the equivalent of like contact rugby. So if you're in a Scottish club, it is a go. You are not. This is part of the social contract. Is if you're on the front row, you're going to be made fun of, and if you're getting on stage, people are gonna heckle you and try and throw you off, and that is part of it. In the United States, if you're heckling, you're an asshole. And everybody hates you, and we're going to try and get rid of you. In Scotland, it is an accepted thing. We want to see you dance.
How tough was that to? I'd imagine that's good practice. It's like the equivalent of swinging 75 baseball bats to get ready for the plate.
I mean, you could just there's like, "Oh, I spin it, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't understand you. Can you talk slower?" "Oh, this is a hot." I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I think like the Scots were probably amused enough at merely having me on stage and having an accent myself. But yeah, you get used to it. Like if you're doing stand-up in general, you have to learn how to deal with hecklers. I imagine in magic shows as well that there are people trying to help that aren't.
Or there's people who think they're being funny and adding to the show.
Right.
But magic is so on rails. There are very few opportunities to go off script.
And I guess people also know that it is not interactive unless you specifically are involving them, right?
Well, or you would think.
Especially for Brian's act, you can have the opportunity to just roll through, and enough of the audience is waiting for the next moment that the energy will flow with you in the same way that different than stand-up, where if somebody yells, then there's this idea of like, oh wait, the good part's coming now. The professional funny guy might respond.
Yeah.
And the energy, even in America, I think just kind of drifts ever so slightly, waiting for the like, oh, are we gonna get the special moment where he gets off script and yells at this guy or makes him feel bad?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I had to build my whole show around Heckler because it started on the street, and then most of the performances I gave my entire life were for audiences that were not there to see me. So everything was an audition. So the first 5 minutes of the show, I don't ask for anything. I could do the whole first 5 minutes right here without a single volunteer, without anybody doing anything. There is a brief moment that I casually mentioned, like, at which point this other dude's audiences would go nuts, right? Like, and that was that. And then the second time, I don't know, 8 minutes in, there's a moment that I sort of grab somebody involuntarily and they're sort of put upon the spot and they have to do something transgressive and gross, pull a nail out of my nose. And it's like there's safety issues, so nobody really wants to mess with that guy. And then, the third thing, it's like I'm breaking a brick over my head or doing another thing that doesn't ask. So the first routine, that's actually a comedy routine, is the fourth or fifth item in. And it's the first time that I say, hey, just pretend I'm a kid for this. And then even that is a soft ask. And then I get a volunteer. And then at that point, you've sort of, at 25 minutes in, you've earned whatever it is. And then people tend to go along for the ride. But I don't know that you could quite do that with comedy.
No,
I don't know what that would look like.
Well, because with stand-up, you got two things that are happening. One, I feel like whenever you're doing stand-up in general, the audience wants to feel and know that they are present with you. I mean, this sounds very weird, but they don't want to. No one goes to a movie theater to watch a movie of a stand-up. They want you to be there, so you need to break the fourth wall. And you need to be like, oh man, it's cold in here, whatever the thing is, right?
Right.
So you're doing that, and then if you're doing it really well, if you're doing stand-up really well, it looks like you're doing it off the top of your head. Now, in reality, you've been working on this joke 8 years, and you've got the timing down. It seems like you're half drunk and you just wandered out of a room, and so the actual drunks in the room will think, oh, cool, we're all just saying random stuff, and they'll do it. The other thing, and this is, I think, the biggest one, because most heckling is just drunks thinking they're helping.
Right.
The one that does occasionally happen is you'll spot a couple that's very clearly on a second or third date, and the guy is like, in his twisted mind, he's like, I don't want the comedian to take the girl home, which is not how comedy works. You don't I'm going to encourage my kids to learn guitar and never be funny ever. But the guy will start trying to he's going to try and out funny me, and you just ignore him, and you just look at the girl and go, hey, you on a date with him? What's your name? Susan. What do you think? You gonna sleep with him? What do you think? And you make it real clear to that asshole that if you say anything else, I have the power to ruin your night.
I've also heard there's a number of performers that will do stuff like it might have even been you, where it's like, oh no, I remember. I think it was my friend Dennis Rogers who if somebody's heckling or making noise, they're like, oh my gosh, you're perfect. Come on up here, everybody, make a round of applause for him. And you're like, oh, and you as well. Take the two people making noise, bring them up on stage. You're like, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. And you're like, here we go. You set someone over here, like, all right, you right there, and you right there, and then you just resume the show and never acknowledge them again. Because now they're on stage and they realize just how different it is.
Oh, I like that
when the power dynamic
That's
has
really
shifted.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so anyway, you were saying you did.
Yeah. So I kept doing stand-up in Scotland. I went back to D.C. and I had kind of an epiphanal moment where I went, oh, I don't want to be a bureaucrat. Because I was basically preparing for that when I'd rather be funny. And I moved up to New York. I wound up a television writer for a while, worked for Reason, and then had my show on The Blaze. And now this.
You're free.
Now I'm free. I'm Andrew Heaton, LTD. I can do whatever I want.
A privateer adrift in space with the cold comfort of freedom on your shoulder. Freedom is your parrot. I got nothing.
Freedom is your parrot would make a great memoir title for a libertarian pirate.
Better than mail route is your boner. Well, here's another good thing that you can support this show at patreon.com/Night Attack. Head on over to patreon.com/Night Attack if you would like to support this very show, and we can be a place where Andrew Heaton can come on over, and we can make sure that we all support him.
Oh, hells yeah.
Thank you.
Dude, I was so very, very excited that we had the opportunity to signal boost the fact that you're launching a new project, that I think it's time. If you are a new pledger or you raise your pledge, then you have a chance to be randomly shouted out on a little thing that we like to call...
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Night Attack new Patreon name chant corner hour.
It's an hour of it. All right, Justin, I want you to imagine that we're on Andrew Heaton's spaceship. We're drifting through space Freedom is his parrot.
And by the way, this has got to look like the Nautilus.
That's
I'm
right.
sure this is some kind of like steampunk, Victorian Gilded Age mahogany spaceship. I built a whole friggin' spaceship out of mahogany.
And
You got a beautiful Palomino clump spot.
that's right. And we're hanging out talking political philosophy and talking about Hayek when all of a sudden we hear a rapping on the outer door. Tap, 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 tap. And I look up at you and I was just like, wait, who could that be?
I mean, especially on a submarine. Like,
In space. Well, and so I was like, we look at each other and we realize it's my turn to check the door. So I go into the airlock, I seal it, I put on the spacesuit, I get fully pressurized. I still hear that tap 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 tap. And I open the door and I look out and then I hear over the comm system, I hear Justin saying, "Who is it?" And then I say, "It's nobody."
nobody.
Yeah, there's literally nobody out here. I always knew this would happen eventually. But there's nobody out here.
So that tapping was just our own wish and desire that somebody would subscribe to our Patreon or adjust their pledge upward.
Yes, which has gone for nearly 200 episodes without fail. But now I stare out at the empty black void of space.
You know,
I don't even have freedom on my shoulder the way Andrew Heaton does.
I mean, like, imagine how much shittier we are than Andrew Heaton, who's like gained like he's doing insane right now. He's exploding on Patreon, and we have nobody.
It's fine. I'm sure they all just knew that something great was happening soon and that they needed to save their Patreon juice for that moment. But this is the moment that I call out to the void and remind them, hey, we do this show for money. I'm just saying, this freedom parrot of Andrew's ain't gonna feed itself. Also, make sure to visit Andrew.
Simple, nobody. Like, we literally both spent like a large portion of the last 2 days talking our friend into doing this for a living.
We promised him that space would be a grand adventure, that booty and joyous adventures awaited. You're gonna make us a liar, space?
Yeah. Bad timing. At the very least, very bad timing.
Then I close up the door, I seal back, and we go back to playing bridge. And I say, hey, you think anything's on Twitch? And so we dial in the spaceship on Twitch.
Exactly. And then Heaton makes his way in, resplendent in his captain's outfit, and says, "Hey, what was that?" And we go, "Oh, nobody."
Thank you, nobody.
Thank you, nobody.
Oh
my God.
And then, of course, we like to
hold on.
shout out our live audience. We are nothing without our live audience. You can go ahead and subscribe to our channel at twitch.tv/nightattack, or you can toss us a few little bits. So we like to tell a story for a minute here, Andrew. Me and Brian can start it off, but feel free to join in here.
Yeah, well, you were there when Sutter Kane and Alex Perth, I believe they were in the audience in Scotland when they were heckling you, right? And then all of a sudden, you're like, "Hey, man, renegade! That's an ancient Tibetan curse. That means get bent, you piece of shit."
Yes, I agree. And then, Leonimus would be throwing haggis at the stage, which was like, where are you getting these buckets of haggis, Leonimus?
And he said, well...
That was the thing about your man Jeff, right? I mean, he was your man Jeff 1. He would just go bizdism, which I think is probably a curse word in Gaelic.
Yeah, well, as long as they don't activate the Tweak 900 bot. That was the fact that they tried to make a Celtic robot was just a terrible idea. The whole thing's fueled by whiskey.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is like half plush animal, half human being. It's a real NAFR man. I mean, even Lisa J _ would know that.
Yeah, well, as long as it's not a Babcat.
No. I mean, Ace Tasley, and 30 minutes later, which is another Scottish phrase, a stoic squirrel took a look at all of us and said, "You want to know what? I think that's a good idea."
You look at us.
That was
we're
good.
your future.
So we're playing Mad Libs with the internet. All right, I can do that. I can make a life out of this.
Thank you guys so much. Again, twitch.tv/nightattack. And of course, people give bits all throughout the show, which means we keep an eye on what, Bryce?
The bit boss.
Oh no, we don't have a cue.
Which is right now Thurmanol with 500 bits. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thurmanol.
thank you, Thurmanol. You've always been our favorite. We've never acknowledged anyone else. There it is. It's just smooth as butter. We're really impressing the guests.
Now tied with your man Jeff, so I guess we've always loved both of you equally. We've always loved both of you equally, unless one of you gives another.
We love both of you equally. We just loved one of you first. Oh wait, no, sorry, I was confused. We've always loved your man Jeff 1 better. I forgot about that.
Fuck Terminal. Fuck him.
I feel like you all have a 7th or 8th sense that I lack, which could explain what's going on here.
We will show you the ways. You and
Like,
your freedom parrot.
I'm deaf, and you all are really cranking it out on your jazz flutes or something, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. Everybody's having fun.
You get accustomed to the water.
I would love to believe that Andrew becomes like a cargo cult where it's like he's making headphones out of coconuts and he's trying, like he doesn't understand that he has to be on the internet or live, but it's like money comes somehow.
Look, man, I'm just saying, all the time that you spent being funny, working on your craft, writing, revising, we spent watching the chat room.
Just steal all their ideas. You think you're the only one with words on a screen to read? We just steal them and take credit, bro.
Don't write ours. Hey, Bryce, we got a game?
We do have a game. Hey, everybody, I'm Bryce. I got a game, wrote up a little game for us today. This is a trivia game. This is the most, gamey, this is the most you don't know jack game I've written before.
Like a real
This is
skill-based challenge.
Well, it's still just trivia, but
That's fine.
But you actually will learn something. I think you guys are going to learn something. This is called Ridley's I Can't Believe It, or Can I? So I've got 6 topics here for you that you each get a chance to pick one. And I'll have a question for you and a little bit of information. And so we got the topics on screen right here. Our topics are Blue Bloods, The Real Knockout Game, Big Cloud Data, Stop Emailing My Wife, Great Neighbors, and Doing Line.
Is it wife or life?
Oh, life. Excuse me.
I
Life
really want
is
to
the
see,
original
I know.
joke.
Stop emailing my wife sounds like a great game.
Well, that's what the joke what that topic is joked on. So we'll start with Brian. You get to pick a topic.
You know what? I gotta start with stop emailing my life.
Stop emailing my life. All right. This is a topic about human life. Life. It's the thing that we all have that the other lesser planets wish that we could have.
Yeah, take that, Saturn. Shots fired.
Suck that, Europa.
Yeah. Eat it, Venus.
On a mechanical level, it means a physical entity with biological processes, cell signaling, self-assistance. And while there's no one definition of life, we know pretty well the life cycle of humans, right? Birth, adolescence, and then eventually death. As of 2019, an estimated 7 billion...
We're lighting this comedy show.
Yeah.
This is an educational trivia quiz. This is educational. As of 2019, an estimated 7,714,576,923 people are alive today. But have you ever thought about all the humans who have ever lived?
Oh.
The Population Reference Bureau put together an estimate of all the people born since 50,000 BCE. What number did they reach for 2017? I'm going to take your answers in order, starting with Brian. How many people do you believe have ever been born?
I know part of this.
Oh.
Because I read comic books. And there was a comic book, I think it might have been written by Neil Gaiman, although I'm probably wrong on that. Mm-hmm. But I remember the conceit was that somebody needed to kill a lot of people because there were more living people today than there had ever been before. Like it was over 50% of all people.
Oh, interesting. Now,
this would have been back, I was younger, so it would have been around 6 billion. I'm going to guess when I read this, it was confirmed to be not true, and I think it was not true by a lot.
Okay.
Which makes me feel
sounds like you have a lot of strong information going into this.
Well, no, I literally, I read about a comic book that I didn't read, and the main character was basically Thanos, and they later ripped him off for Purple Grimace. If I was going to guess, I would say 38 billion people. 38 billion people. By the way, every time I hedge and pause, I want to end my statement like 35. We might bomb Mexico. Boom, and that's your fault.
Yeah, great.
All right, Justin. We'll play closest. This is not no over under or no Price is Right. This is closest.
Oh shit! I was gonna go one person.
Sorry, pure closest. Pure closest. How many people do you believe have been born altogether since 50,000 BCE?
I'm gonna go 21. 21 Billy.
21 billion.
21 Billy Bones.
Andrew.
That's the metric version of billions.
1 Billy Beers.
What are my hold on? So you've got 28 billion.
He's
I
at
have
38.
38 billion. You've got
21.
21 billion.
Yeah.
And can I go back to the very beginning? The Population Bureau did a census of everyone who's ever lived.
Who's died?
An estimate. An estimate
Oh,
of
okay.
all the
So
people
they're not
who
like
were born.
going through birth certificates from like the Egyptian period or nothing like
No,
that.
I think they're just. I think they're using
I
math
was like,
calculator.
man, give those people more money if they're doing that well.
Also, I'm gonna guess that they stuck just to Homo sapiens and they didn't include like Homo erectus or Neanderthals or
that's
any of
tough.
that
That is
stuff.
a part of it.
Yeah,
Yes, it
yeah.
is Homo sapiens.
Okay.
Racist. Cancel the Census Bureau.
All right, I think it was 40 billion.
40.
damn it, you- oh,
I'm sorry, 40
okay.
million?
40 million.
No,
That's what
40
I'm gonna go
billion.
with that. 40 million. I think the whole thing's a scam.
Thank you for not pricing. Price is writing me to the tune of $1.
You know what? I'll do 50 billion. How about that?
No, you don't have to. You take your 40 billion. Also, everybody move your patrons back to us.
I gotta say, I think my thought process is actually pretty similar to yours because I know I didn't get my information from the Fantastic Four like you. I think I got it from like the Atlantic or something. But I remember them saying that like, huh?
Did you get it from Sandman?
It might have been. I think that might have been
Yeah,
it.
because his sister is Death. The Sandman's sister is Death, and I think that.
So
that is-
what's funny is I've never read Sandman. I only have read about Sandman and heard that.
You know what's weird? Our conversation right now is verbatim what was happening inside of the Census Population Center or whatever the hell that organization was Bryce mentioned.
Turns out that's the same
Oh
methodology.
my God, it was
they use.
today. Shit. Okay, hold on. Who's read Thanos?
What's death? What's death?
I thought for a second you were gonna say The Blaze. I was like, look, I was shocked when I found out that your boss was a major cinephile. But like, if he was a real gaming head, that would have set me for a loop.
All right. We have a winner. And they were off by more than double. The correct answer was 108,470,690,115. That's Andrew getting the point there.
Yeah.
What is the number of people who should be subscribing at patreon.com/Andrew Heaton? Am I doing it right?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, sure. It's Jeopardy rules.
Yeah. There's a Jeopardy stinger on there.
But please, one for us by next week.
The Population Reference Bureau estimates that number will reach 113 billion by 2050. Also,
more
fun
friends.
fact,
Good.
each human carries over 35 trillion bacteria microbes.
Yeah, isn't it like we're only like 80% us and we're 20% bacteria or something?
Yeah, like we're a walking colony.
Yeah,
And it affects us in very substantial ways. Like Freakonomics did an episode about gut bacteria where they do, sorry for the corporophagic comedy, but they do poop transplants. There are
Yeah.
Fecal
people
transplants.
who are not in a good place. They eat a pill of someone else's poop, and then there they go.
I hope my gut fauna likes cheese and scotch because that's what it's going to be getting a lot of for the next 40 years.
Oh,
All right, Justin, it's your turn. Pick one of these topics for me.
Oh shit! All right, I'm gonna go the real knockout game.
That's great. This is a topic of general anesthesia. How much do you guys know about general anesthesia?
I know that there's Pendulette is fond of telling a story that he heard from the Amazing Randy, where when they knock you out, it is so precise, and the anesthesiologists see it so well that when the Amazing Randy went in for surgery, the anesthesiologist did a magic trick on him by saying, "All right, we're going to count down from 10 to 1. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Saw he was under. Stop counting." They did the surgery. They switched off the anesthetic. And they waited until the right moment of his eyes fluttering, and then said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's cute. And he said, what? He was like, well, it didn't work. And you're like, yeah, surgery is over, which is
so good.
amazing.
I had a back surgery a few years ago, Bryce, and they put me under, and I was so loopy when I woke up. They went, they woke me up and they're like, "You feeling okay?" And I went, "Do I have amnesia?" And they went, "Do you know who you are?" And I went,
Am I forgetful?
no, I went, is it Andrew Heaton?
You asked?
And they went, yes. And I went, I got really disappointed. I went, "Am I British this time?" And then they gave me like those weird little Halifax like knockoff Oreos that they put in front of me, and I went, I'm not on Obamacare, right? Can you give me like an Oreo?
Did Justin, have you ever like tried to resist the anesthesia? Have you ever gone all the way under?
No, I don't think I've done the full anesthesia. I've definitely done local, and obviously for dental work, I've done stuff. But for whatever reason, anesthesia makes me very aggressive. I tend to
God, good to know.
multiple times I've woken up from anesthesia, or I still had the effects of it, and I just like call my friends and just like talk shit for whatever reason. Like I don't know what it is, but it's happened like a few times to the point where I'm like, oh, I guess this is just a reaction that it's never anything mean or anything. I'm just like, I just got my tooth drilled. Right now my tooth just got drilled, motherfucker. And they're
You
like,
become a sergeant? You become a sergeant in an 80s movie?
No, yeah. It's like I'm in a 90s mixtape now.
I love the idea that somebody somewhere has a chart that says, just beware, he's an angry transplant.
So if people don't know, general anesthesia is when they administer any number of agents to a patient via IV or via inhalation. Do you guys know how it works?
I don't know that I do.
I have
Andrew?
no idea. No.
Justin?
No.
Turns out doctors don't either.
What?
Wait, it's a bluff? The whole damn thing is a bluff? They're just like, hey, you're going to get that's it?
I do know that there are people that kind of wake up and start talking while their guts are open. They're all like, oh, let's just turn that volume on.
So generally they know that the act slows and blocks the nerves that are carrying pain signals to the brain. And they know that there's some theories about like how they work and what they modulate the activity of the proteins in the brain.
I was going to say that. I thought that was probably protein modulation
But-
in the
but
brain.
Only with the Scottish accent.
But they still don't know where or why really.
That's
It's
horrific.
It's crazy.
No, hold on. Are you telling me that anesthesiologists, which are very often the most highly paid people at a hospital, are just a different version of your friend who's like, no, take it, man. I swear it's great.
It's 2 grams.
I mean,
it's fine.
basically, it's-
The
Yeah,
dark
it's
bits
fine.
are the ones that have the most psilocybin.
But they still know how much to give you. That's the thing is they still know how to do it. They just don't know how it works.
yeah.
It's
So
just magic juice, and they're like, "Yeah, I do believe, good sir." It is
how do they find it then?
Well, so ether is an early
vapor.
It's what everything's made out of. Ether.
No.
ether and other
Speaking of diss tracks,
ether and other anesthetics and sedatives were widely used for recreational purposes. Even go back to the Sumerians. Sumerians probably used poppy opium just recreationally.
They're fun group.
Did you know that that nowadays we have touring shows of traveling hypnotists who show up at your graduation party and they promise you're under a spell and then you sing Britney Spears or whatever? They used to do that shit in the 1800s with the laughing gas. There used to be touring laughing gas shows, and it was only after like they get up and like, now dance around, like, oh, this is crazy, I'm doing whatever you say. Dude broke his leg, femur like sticking out of his skin, still laughing, still losing his crap, like this is the best time ever. And then only then was somebody like, there might be something to this.
Well, so that's
I would definitely go to a traveling laughing gas show.
I would definitely get on stage for that.
100%. Yeah, that says
Wait.
Miley
Traveling
Cyrus
laughing
concert, traveling laughing gas show. I would go to the traveling laughing gas show.
question: does everybody know they're getting dosed?
Yes.
Or did the guy just dose everybody?
No.
it was recreational.
Yeah, everybody got on stage and they were like, guys, this is going to be an amazing it's exactly the structure of a hypnosis show. It's like you're going to volunteer, you're going to come on stage, you're going to be the stars of the show. Well, only instead of, saying that you're hypnotized and using social pressure and all of that stuff, instead you actually give them something that does something. And then they lose their mind and have a blast.
So that brings us to a question, Justin. You're gonna answer first here. When was the first reported use of ether as a surgical anesthetic?
Shit, I feel like Brian's already got half this here with his laughing gas story.
And he's
If
answering
it helps,
last.
I don't know when it was. I just set a range of where my head is at.
We do
All
have a
right,
very specific date. So
I'm
it's closest.
going to say ether was first used in 1879.
Just as
That
1879.
seemed very confident there.
Andrew, what do you think?
Here, okay, this is my logic. I seem to recall, probably from a Neil Gaiman book, I seem to recall that I was surprised at how early it was because because you see Dances with Wolves and they're just like, here, drink a lot of bourbon and then we're going to cut your leg off with a hacksaw.
That's true.
Which is probably accurate.
That would have been the 60s, right?
Yeah. But I remember thinking like reading when this thing came out, and I guess they hadn't worked out their copay with their health insurance or whatever yet, so they didn't have that in the Civil War. But I thought it was already there. So I think it's deceptively early, and I'm going to go with 1852.
1850.
But not widespread until much later.
Okay, Brian.
I actually think it's in between the two. And if I was a real piece of work, I would +1
Go
Andrews.
with 50 billion.
But I want to take the exact dividing line between whatever their two picks are.
Yeah,
So
that's fine.
Put me down.
That's fine. All right, we have a winner. We do have a winner here. Where's my thing? Boom, boom, boom. March 30th, 1842, Crawford W. Long noticed his friends felt no pain when they injured themselves and immediately thought of the potential in surgery. That seems so late to me, the 1800s.
Oh, my God.
Really?
Especially because, I mean, laughing gas was discovered in the 1700s, the late 1700s.
Wait, it was?
Humphrey Davy decided to find out by experimenting on himself. He was, to his astonishment, nitrous oxides made him laugh, so he nicknamed it laughing gas. Oh, maybe that's just the nickname.
Yeah, but also, like, do you know how long it took for people to learn shit back then? Like, he's not gonna discover laughing ants and post it on his Insta story and be like, "Yo, this is lit."
Well, there's still like a 20% chance he'll be hanged as a witch.
Plus, also, it's like he kicks in the door to the doctor's union, and he's like, "I've got this thing. It puts people to sleep. You can operate them on them." And they're like, "What does that have to do with the four humors?
We're
Get the
barbarous.
fuck out of here!"
But
Come back with leeches, you moron.
Yeah.
but it's so interesting because ether was synthesized as early as the 8th century. Even in the 16th century, the physician and polymath Paracelsus noticed that chickens made to breathe it fell asleep and felt no pain, and still it was only used as a recreational drug.
How is ether made?
Or
is that
that's not on my list.
Do we have to go to the dark web for that?
It's a byproduct of vapor phase hydration of ethylene to make ethanol.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. I thought it was probably vapor phase of ethylene.
One last button on.
Saying it right before, but it was a Skype poll.
It was a Skype thing. If this scares you, a report from 2009 estimates that anesthesia-related deaths were at 1.1 per 1 million. So very, very safe to use anesthesia.
Still not zero. It really is the trolley problem, because you think about all these parents that don't want to vaccinate their kids or give them surgery or whatever. It's like it really boils down to you have to say yes and sign a thing and pull a lever. And yes, the odds are 99.9999 that everything will be fine. But if it's not, you're the one who pulled that lever.
Oh, geez, yeah. All right. Next topic. Andrew, you get to pick here from the remaining topics. We have
nice.
Blue
Wait,
Bloods.
hold on. I got the last one?
Yeah, you did. You have 2 points.
Yeah, this show's been great for my ego, you guys. This is just, at every step I felt really good. Thank you.
Our remaining topics are Blue Bloods, Big Cloud Data, Great Neighbors, or Doing Lines.
All right, okay. I think Blue Bloods, there's a 30% chance it's about cops. There's a 30% chance it's about Meghan Markle's baby. And there's a 33% chance it's some sort of biopic about Prince Philip, in which case I'm going to knock this out of the park. So I'm going to go with Blue Bloods.
Interesting. I don't know if that math works out because this is about horseshoe
Nope,
crabs.
that's
I knew it!
Oh, really?
I suspected it!
Oh, interesting.
I know that horseshoe crabs have blue blood!
That's right. So if you don't know, you might know them as the little helmets at the aquariums that you can pet in the little tanks. But they are more than just living fossils. They are actually very valuable because of their blue blood. Do you know about the blue blood?
I know a little bit about it. I know they look an awful lot like a trilobite. Like in a lineup, I couldn't tell you which is a trilobite and which is a horseshoe crab.
I actually do know a little bit. Like one of my favorite party questions. You can use this, audience. This is I don't like asking people what they do for a living or where they're from.
Sure.
I'll go like, if you could shoot out a different liquid from every finger on your right hand, what 5 liquids would you shoot out? And one time, actually, the Bragg brothers make funny videos with me on Reason.
Yeah.
One of them was like blue blood from crabs or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because apparently it's like a
super
really
valuable, right?
expensive surgical cleaning tool
That's
or
exactly
something.
right. So it's blue because it has hemocyanins, which contain amoebocytes, which are used to make limulus amoebocyte lysate. That is LAL.
Gotta love that amoeba site lysate.
They use that in the testing of medical materials, medical raw products, and medical.
It's a stand-in for
vaccines.
human blood, right? Like basically.
No, it's like a litmus test. Basically, they put it in like the raw material or in the vaccine, and it basically gels up if there are contaminants in it. So they use just a very little bit of it, but it's like FDA mandated that it be used.
Well, and am I right in I have a half remembered radio lab where I think people just run out to the ocean, they pick one up, they're like the size of a hubcap, and then they suck out the blood, and then they're like, go on, little fella.
That's right. They will drain up to.
What? Wait. So well, hold on. My mind was just blown here.
Yeah.
So there are crab milkers who go out into the ocean to milk crabs,
vampires.
and
Yeah,
we get their
who
blood
steal
to
the
check
blood.
and see which vaccines have been. Oh
That's
my
right.
God, we're living in a simulation. There's no way any of this makes sense. This is 100% made up. We're all living in a game designed by a fourth grader on another planet.
How is there not a quirky family that's not a reality show?
Oh yeah, the crab milkers. I would totally. Depending on what it was, assuming it's a
So yeah, they can be drained of up to 30% of their blood before they're released, and they actually have, in some studies, a fatality rate of up to 30% because of this process.
Ooh.
But it's very valuable, right? It's used to test vaccines and raw materials. Now, according to a report by PBS in 2008, I have a question for you. We're going to start with Andrew. What is the reported value of 1 gallon of horseshoe crab blood?
You said a gallon, right?
1 gallon.
I want to make sure I've got the.
A G.
I want to make sure. I want to make sure I've
a
got
little more than
the
4 liters.
The unit correctly. Yeah, because I'm gonna have to convert in my head for because I only know horseshoe crab black market prices in liters. It's kind of like it's like grams of pot and whatnot.
I once bought a lee of blood.
Yeah, I get your horseshoe blood. What did you need? I know a guy. You know what?
In
I'm gonna
US
go,
dollars too.
I'm gonna go with $20,000 per gallon of horseshoe blood.
Okay, Brian.
Oh, I'm gonna say $2 million.
$2 million a gallon.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 milli
Yeah.
for a
milli.
gallon of this blood.
Yeah.
Justin.
There's a lot of it.
It's like a milk carton.
Yeah.
But it's
Just imagine you're
blood.
drinking milk, only it's the blood of a bunch of
blood of
crabs
blue
that were minding
crab.
their own business.
That's how they make blue milk.
Like,
It's not dye. It's blue.
And an angry Luke Skywalker bitterly walked up, jabbed a needle in, and then filled up his cup as he lived alone on an island.
I'm imagining a crab with tiny little teats.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like milking him, but then he's got like a turkey baster he sucks it up with.
How pissed would you be if you went to the new Galaxy's Edge theme park where they have like a real life cantina and you can get like blue milk and they're like, yeah, that'll be $20,000.
It's got real horseshoe crab blood in it, all right?
Right, don't worry, you can use your NFC bracelet. That's fine.
Justin, we're looking for an answer for you.
$2,001.
Busted.
I'm blanked right now.
It's fine. It's fine. That's actually legit because I suspect I'm high. Whoops, that came out wrong.
We all suspect that, Brian.
According to this report, the value of 1 gallon of horseshoe crab blood goes for $60,000 US.
Oh man, I
That's
swept.
another point for Andrew.
So do I win a car? What is the prize, you guys?
Look, the game's not over.
It's not over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not quite over. We're going into double points
All right,
rounds.
but I want that car.
By the way, this is. I think this might be my favorite game we've played in a long time because I'm learning so much.
It
This
took
is really
a long
great.
time, but I'm
Yeah,
glad.
yeah.
I'm glad. All right, Brian, we're back to you to pick a trivia topic here. We've got big cloud data, great neighbors, and doing lines.
Let's do doing lines.
What do you think doing lines is going to be about?
It's gonna be about the people who paint the stripes on highways.
Almost. This is about coastlines.
Hey, there we go.
Okay.
Pretty much.
All right.
Everybody
do the
loves-
same thing only on maps.
That's right. Yes, okay, yeah, okay. Everybody loves a trip to the beach, and historically, people have preferred to settle next to water. America is a country embraced by water, both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, not to mention the Gulf of Mexico. Of the 50 United States, of the 50 United States, which state has the most coastline? Brian, we're going to start with you.
Oh man, I got to give this to my BFF and OAK. only one state is a big old floppy penis. Because I learned that circumferences are very long on circular dangling dongs. I'm going to go Florida. Longer than California for sure.
Okay, Brian's going to say Florida. Justin.
Oh, man. Well, I guess I got to go the next guess, which would be California, because effectively California is deceptively large in that it is like the entire eastern seaboard, but on the west coast.
Okay.
So I will say California.
Going Cali. Andrew, what do you think?
I think Alaska. I'll tell you why.
Oh, God damn it, there's all those islands.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus-
Alaska's got all those islands, and I think if you add them up, I think it's going to have the most coastline.
Are you familiar with the it's a fractal math problem? Like, how do you measure the coastline, how many miles of coastline there is on in England? And the problem is, if you sort of just use a single meter all the way around, you get one number.
The more fidelity.
Exactly.
you
But
use-
if you use a ruler, you get much bigger number because, and then all the way down. So it's like you can keep infinitely doing more curves and folds. And so essentially the answer becomes it's infinite if you measure precisely
Wait,
enough.
England is infinite?
Yeah,
You just blew my mind.
The sun never sets, man.
I didn't figure out how. I guess I never
And
figured
the
out.
coast never dries.
All three of you are incorrect.
What?
If it is Kansas,
Oh, it's
I am
Hawaii.
going to blow my staff.
Is it Hawaii?
No, it's not. But Hawaii is considered up there. It is Minnesota
Oh,
because the lakes?
because of the lakes.
Just stop it.
Wait, hold on. Is this from the Minnesota Tourism Department? Because if that's the case, I want this thrown out.
Is that the secret sponsor of this episode?
Here. Wait, hold on. Wait, you said oceans.
No, and the Gulf.
He said coastline.
I said coastline.
Yeah.
We said coastlines here. Minnesota, by a large degree. In fact, if you count rivers and streams, it is more than California, Hawaii, and Florida's number combined.
Wait, hold on. Are we counting all of their rivers and streams? This is why
Yes.
I think
I would love.
Yes,
I would
it's-
love.
we got
you
math.
got
We
bought
have
off
math.
by the
We have math.
Minnesota Tourism Department.
We have
I-
math. We have math here. Look, if you count ocean, lake, and rivers, Minnesota is larger than California, Hawaii, and Florida combined.
Oh, I guess all the intercoastal and all of South Florida then. Fort Lauderdale, the Venice of America.
All right, look,
That
Justin.
count, too.
I
Correct.
understand that we're upset about the game, but keep in mind the amazing amount of coastline is only one of the many reasons we should all plan our next vacation in Minnesota. That's right, Minnesota, home of the Mall of America, the Twin Cities, and so much more to do.
Yeah.
And,
Probably when they fucking donate to the Patreon.
And Hawaii was. Oh, goodness. Hawaii was similarly close, but what is that?
Even your mic is upset with you.
I don't know what that is. Alaska was close, but it's lakes for most of these. I mean, even if you look at this data here, only 3,000 miles accounts for California's ocean coastline out of 35,000. Lakes are a significant portion in all of these, and Minnesota has a lot of those.
Wow.
Or fakes. Land of 10,000 fakes.
I'm saying legit. I give you 5 kudos on
Yeah.
that.
Would that, if you wanted to buy a coastal house then, or a house against a body of water, would Minnesota be the cheapest place to go then, since they've got so much of it apparently?
I mean, also because it occasionally becomes colder than the surface of Mars. Yes, I'm going to say yes. It's a very cost-effective way to have a waterfront property.
I'm fine with that. This is my new goal, is to get successful enough that I never experience anything above 90 degrees Fahrenheit again for the rest of my life. I'll come visit you, but only during the winter.
Okay, good.
All right, so we're gonna say no points to anybody on that, but good try to everybody. Justin, we got 2 topics left here. We got great neighbors and big cloud data.
Wait, was that to me?
Yes, it is.
Oh, sorry, my internet went out. I will do Great Neighbors.
Great neighbors. What do you think Great Neighbors is about?
Oh, I think Great Neighbors is about, those friendly folks that happen to live right next to you. The kind that'll give you a good cup of sugar. Maybe keep your old house keys if you get locked out. Those kind of neighbors.
No, great neighbors.
Justin, you sound like if a robot watched the Andy Griffith Show and was trying to pretend to be a person.
Yeah, you're like a machine learning version
Yeah.
of
Hey,
what
fellow humans, I have
my audio
sugar
fucked
for
up?
you.
No.
Oh yeah, no, your audio is there. Just the analysis. I think he was talking about.
I think it's going to be about Mexico and Canada. That's what I think it's going to be about.
Oh, interesting. Because Great Neighbors is about great fences. It's not about walls. So Australia has to contend with ruthless wildlife. I mean, they've got dingoes, they've got spiders, and rabbits.
Wait.
Well, and
Why would you be
everything's-
afraid of
everything's
rabbits?
trying
Yes,
to kill
rabbits.
you too.
Rabbit infestations led the country to build the longest unbroken fence in the world, the State Barrier Fence of Western Australia, formerly known as the Rabbit-Proof Fence, the State Vermin Fence, and the Emu Fence. In 1859, after 24 wild rabbits from England were let free so they could be hunted, they quickly multiplied. With no local predators, the rabbit population exploded. In 1901, a royal commission was held to investigate the solution.
Who could have seen that coming?
The fence was completed in 1907, and that total fence stretched 2,023 miles north to south in West Australia. The number one fence portion is the longest unbroken fence in the world at 1,833 miles. But there is a longer and older fence, and it's in Australia. It's the dingo fence, or the dog fence, and it was finished in 1885. How long is the entirety of the dingo fence?
Wait, how long was the first one you talked
The first
about?
one in total was 2,023 miles.
And that one is, and the dingo fence is longer?
Yeah.
It's longer.
Okay.
Yes. We do have an image here. This is the rabbit fence.
I'm going to just real quick.
Oh my gosh.
The wildlife in Australia is crazy, and I think half of it's made up. Like a duck-billed platypus? Bullshit. Yeah. You're telling me there's a duck beaver? There's a duck beaver? I don't believe it. There
Also
are no duck
poisonous
beavers.
on top of everything.
There's a poisonous duck beaver
Yeah.
that lays mammals and eggs? No. I know a joke when I've seen it. Good job, Australia. I don't buy it.
All right, so we're starting with Justin on this one.
Oh, Jesus Christ! All right, so wait, 2,000 miles was the shorter one.
2023, correct.
All right, I'm gonna say that this one. Give me the graphic back.
Sure, this is the original rabbit-proof fence here.
This is not the dingo fence.
This
with
is
a
not the
rabbit.
dingo
By the way, just picture Australia. Picture, I don't know, the first 20% of that pound cake, and you just slice, curvy slice right on down.
North to south, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to keep the rabbits from getting into the giant wasteland of desert that dominates 90% of the country. Was that the goal?
Basically, to
Preserve
keep,
the sand from rabbits?
yes, and it studies are it's softly believed that it worked to some degree.
All right.
So wait, hold on.
Holy cow! David Parker in the chat is shouting he lives there. That's amazing.
Oh, see, Western Australia. I've been out. You know what? I've been to Western Australia. I dated a girl from there.
Yeah?
For a while, and like weirdly, I've been to 40 some odd countries now,
Yeah.
and Western Australia is the closest place to Oklahoma I've ever been outside of the United States, including Canada.
What's funny is I've only been to one place in Australia. Is the Gold Coast. Turns out there's two Miamis.
Yeah. Well, it's like, no, because like all the Australians, because the British were sending over their felons to the state of Georgia, or the colony of Georgia,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then we started getting really loud and drunk, and we had guns, and they're like, "Oh, I don't like this. We should send our felons to a different island." And they started sending them over to Australia. So they got what would have been Southerners, and then they're all living on the suburbs in Western Australia. It's Oklahoma plus a beach and kangaroos,
That's amazing.
and apparently a giant dingo fence.
Yeah. All right. So the in that graphic, the red line is which fence?
This is the entire rabbit fence system. So the red one is what I mentioned, the number one fence, which is the longest unbroken portion of it. But
Yeah,
all
the purple
Not,
one is
not
just
shown. Not shown is the dingo fence. The dingo fence is not shown at all.
Yeah,
dingo fence is not a
the
part of
orange
this.
one is the rabbit one. The purple one is just Terry's backyard, because everybody has so much friggin' land in that country.
It's Terry's Paintball Escapades LLC.
All right, Justin.
4K.
4K?
54,000.
Wow.
Or no. So 5400.
5,400. Okay, 5,400.
Yeah, that's it. 5,000.
Andrew, what do
5K.
you think?
I'm going to go with 3,000.
3,000.
So basically, I'm picking the over and under on 3,000 because I think 3,000 is pretty close. I will take the over and say 3,010. 72.
3,072. All right, we have a winner. It is. Where is it? 3,488 miles.
Oh, man, it feels so much better to be on the board.
This is longer than the distance from Seattle, Washington to Miami, Florida.
Holy cow.
Why did they want to build a dingo fence? Aren't they from there? What were they trying to stop the dingoes from doing?
They don't want them to get everywhere else. That's the thing. It's like, we're pretty sure they're right.
It was one of those motherfuckers in Coober Petty.
Sure, yes, the town here on this one.
Good old Coober Petty, the Paris of Southern Australia.
Yeah, it's just these Coober Petty dudes.
All of the towns in Western Australia. So the towns in Eastern Australia are oftentimes named after like the first count that showed up or whatever. But in Western Australia, from what I can tell, all the towns are named after the sounds of tennis shoes jumping around a dryer. Because you're like, hey, where are we going today? Well, I think we'd go over to Thumbity Wop Bop. And you're like, what? Oh, it's just down the street from Cumberley Thump now.
Yeah, you know what? Like, looking at this map makes me think that there might be an opening for the reverse of a spelling bee, a pronunciation bee, where it's like you give us, you show us the word, and it's like a Thargominia.
Well, on the map said hybrid dogs, so maybe they weren't trying to stop the dingoes. They're just trying to keep the dingoes from like mating with poodles and stuff.
I think that was. I don't know that
There's nothing worse than
but
a
I think
poodle
that is
dog.
important. And again, I do. My understanding is that they believe that this did help with migration a bit. The rabbit-proof fence. Both of these fences are a little out of commission, but the rabbit-proof fence especially went obsolete because of poisons. They could just use poisons and keep the rabbits out.
Oh, yeah. So
Poisons.
we'd kill them. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, basically, they had a lot of rabbits. All right, so that leaves our last topic. What's our last topic here?
Big cloud data? No. Yeah.
Big cloud
Yeah.
data. That's right. Big
Not
cloud
email.
data.
Oh, no. It would be Big Cloud Data,
Big
right?
cloud data. That's
Yeah.
right. Andrew, you're going to answer first on this.
Okay.
This is a topic about cumulus clouds. What do you know about cumulus clouds?
Well, I think they're the flashiest of the clouds, in my opinion. I'm more of a
Have you seen
cirrus
their
cloud type guy.
Have you seen their Instagrams? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I know they huddle for warmth.
Okay.
That's about all I know.
Yeah. These are the puffy cotton candy looking clouds. They'll sometimes have the flat bottoms on them.
Okay, yeah.
They're low, they're about 1,000 meters above sea level, and when they expand upwards, they can lead to thunderstorm clouds. And clouds are very light. I mean, they're floating, obviously. When they expand upwards, they can, in a real-world approximation, cumulus cloud density is equivalent to a marble in a box large enough to seat 2 people.
Wait, you repeat that, please?
So I'm not giving you the number because I'm going to ask you about the number later.
Okay.
But to a similar ratio would be a marble in a box, think like a cardboard box or something, big enough to hold 2 people.
So imagine the two of us hiding in a cardboard box,
And there's a marble in
and then a marble on top. That is roughly the density of a cloud.
The marble is the density of these
Gotcha.
clouds.
Okay.
So yeah, you collapse all of the water, and it's as much mass as that marble.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Uh,
so the box is the cloud's volume.
What? Sure.
marble
Yes.
is the
is the
the
actual
marble
mass
is
of
the
the cloud.
density or the
Yes.
mass.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
So with that, we're going to start with you, Andrew. What does the average cumulus cloud weigh?
Let's see here. My God. Okay, this is going to be my thought process.
Okay. Yeah, please talk it out.
Yeah, you once read a comic book by Neil Gaiman.
The Voyage Home, they talk about how much water they would need to have 2 humpback whales.
Transparent aluminum.
It's transparent aluminum. and
Computer.
I think they said it was like, let's see, and each whale is a 2-ton mammal. So that's
Also, this
4
is for
tons.
4 points.
So if there's
If
four-
it
so
helps, think about somebody vaping and how much it costs and how big the cartridges are.
Also,
Yeah, that might be better than me trying to work my way back from trying to remember the weight of whales and then guessing the size of the bay they put the whales in and how much water would go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And also, when it comes to thinking about the vaping, remember to divide by dankness.
yes.
That's good. It's a good point.
Okay, so I'm assuming one vape pen probably weighs 2 ounces, and if you know what, I'm just
And
gonna
I'm
go
going to ask
with
that you put
I'm
your
gonna go with 3 tons. 3 tons.
3 tons. That's, 6,000 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I need it in pounds, but yeah, there we go. All right, 6,000 pounds. Brian.
Man, some of them
average
get real big, but some of them are real small. I'm going to say 20,000 pounds.
Okay,
Look, man, I've practiced all my life we've talked about my failed attempts 3 times to go on game shows and not get picked at the end. I've been practicing this a long time. You got to say something.
20,000 pounds. All right, Justin.
I'm going to say 10,000 pounds.
10,000 pounds. All right. We have a winner in this game, fellas.
Yeah?
Fellas. The winner is Brian, and he was not even fucking close.
Whoa!
What?
The average cumulus cloud is about a kilometer squared, with a density of 1/2 gram per cubic meter. Excuse me, a kilometer cubed, aka 1.1 million pounds.
Holy cow! And I had the highest at 6,000 pounds.
With 20,000.
Oh, no. I was 6,000. 20,000
I think
was...
I was 6,000 because I said 3 tons and he went, that's 6,000.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I did say 20,000.
You said 20,000. Yeah, don't make me.
Look, I'll accept. I will graciously accept my victory. Sorry.
And with that extra 4 points, because it was the final round, Brian wins.
Dude.
Well done, Brian.
Wow,
You
that was a
earned
great
car,
game.
man.
Yeah, that was fun, man.
Yeah.
Well done, gang.
Good job. Well researched, Bryce.
Thank
I
you very
enjoyed
much.
that.
Yeah, thank you very much. A couple of those I stole from another podcast I listened to, the What a Time to Be Alive podcast, but the rest of those was original research. If you have some original research or some data that you think can turn into a game, please send it to mail@nightattack.tv. If we use your game, we will send you a free sticker pack from stickersordIAF.com.
Hey, Justin, what say we do a little bit of diamond time?
Brian, I think that would be a great idea. Head on over to reddit.com/r/Diamond Club or diamondclub.reddit.com. You'll see a big old sticky post right there at the top of the page. It is there that you can shout out your project. Top 3 get read each and every week, including Mrs. Calora1, who writes, "Hey, Diamonds, first-time poster. I'm a teacher in a high school looking for funding for a set of 6 tables for my students. If you could please go to my Donors Choose page and use the code Lift Off, that is all caps, at checkout, they will match donations." She does not have a rude and friendly link, but if you head on over there, you can find it.
Maybe look for engaging young readers with tablets on the website.
Yeah, also, not going to say that this is a sign, but guess what the number of dollars still needed is?
420.
That's right.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Bodez. Yeah. Hello, Diamond Club. I've been doing a podcast about Tesla, EV, and renewable energy for nearly 3 years. I'm very happy with the show's doing, but I could always use a few more listeners. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, search for Kilowatt with 2 T's in your favorite podcast app or go to bit.ly/Tesla swag for the Apple Podcast app. Thank you very much. Bodie. Yeah, dude. That sounds awesome.
Papa Sparky writes, "Hey, chummers. Do you guys ever feel like you have blind spots in your nerdy knowledge? Embarrassed to ask people about the background for the next Marvel movie? My buddy Kurt's got you covered with his podcast, Welcome to Geek Town. Each episode covers a topic that you may hear people arguing about at your local comic book shop. Kurt covers all the basic history on that subject, and you can join the conversation. It actually and you can actually sound like you know what you're talking about. Just head on over to welcome2geektown.com.
Oh, yeah. Let's take a moment and check in on the Movie Draft Minute.
Welcome to Movie Draft Minute, presented by CosmicRadio.tv for the week of June 10th, 2019. I'm your host, Roberto Villegas. All right, I'm going to keep this short and to the point because, frankly, not much has changed in the rankings, so let's go check them out. Team Hammerson is in 6th place, $174.1 million. Team Grant, the Beerist, is in 5th place, $276.2 million. Team Sword and Laser is in 4th place, with Dark Phoenix bringing $35.3 million, bringing the total to $410.6 million. Team John Tracker is in 3rd place, $426.4 million. Team Nightattack is in 2nd place, with the Secret Life Pets bringing $52.1 million, bringing the total to $550.2 million. And in 1st place, $855.2 million. It's Team Frog Pants. And that is your Movie Draft Minute for the week of June 10th, 2019.
All right, you're able to figure out what we're doing with this game, right? We're basically doing fantasy sports only with movie box office returns.
Oh.
And in this case, the big story is, holy crap, Tom Merritt is out. Dark Phoenix made $35 million total in its whole first week. It's going to be $100 million loss for the studio. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it is a disaster. The only story that is happening this year is that the big boys make money and nobody else makes dog shit. This is the most anemic summer I think we have ever seen, and it doesn't look like it's going to pick up at all.
Yeah, with the exception of course, Avengers, but that's really the end of a 21-22 movie journey.
But that's what I'm saying. Like the big dogs eat. Other than that, because look, Detective Pikachu made 138. That's not the upper echelon of what you would hope, but that's not anything to cry about, right? That's not awful. But stuff like X-Men just totally pooping the bed. People just are not leaving their house to go see movies unless they know it's a cultural event.
So
they're not taking chances on movies.
This movie did very, very poorly. It got moved around a whole bunch, and it kept getting delayed. And finally, they just released it, and they let it die its miserable death. But somebody was asking, in a world where Disney is acquiring the rights to all the X-Men stuff, what do they do with it? Do they fold it into the MCU? And we were talking yesterday on Cord Killers. I think that they could do, given the success of Logan, give me 5 individual movies of adult X-Men who have graduated from Charles Xavier's school and they're out in the world. Give me an Iceman movie. Give me a Storm movie. Give me all these different movies. And then X-Men becomes the Avengers at the end of it. You just repeat the formula that works so well. Is that crazy?
The only thing is that it seems like the MCU's playbook is, what does everybody hate about how other people handled these movies? And that was always the thing, was that Fox wanted to dilute, and they wanted to give Wolverine his own movie and Magneto his own movie, and they wanted to do all this other stuff, and they could never get a great... Every X-Men movie was the same. Every X-Men movie was always about Cerebro for some reason.
No, Magneto.
I
they weren't all constantly standing around the computer.
No. You ever notice that literally every X-Men movie at some point revolves around Professor X trying to contact somebody through Cerebro?
Yeah.
Every single X-Men movie is tethered to that idea for some random reason.
I saw the latest one a couple of nights ago with my brother, and I won't give any spoilers. What they kind of played around with, which I wish they would do, is I would love to see an X-Men movie where Magneto is 100% the protagonist and Professor X is like the shilling Nixon toady. Because they kind of started getting into that, and then they pulled back a little bit. And I was like, I would really like to see that where he's the sellout and Magneto's the freedom fighter, and it's from their perspective, and all the X-Men kind of look fascist. But like that would be cool. I would enjoy that.
I think that there's a lot that you can do, and X-Men kind of will always bear the weight of the fact that it was the first really good superhero movie.
I would put in a little asterisk, and it didn't age as well as we'd like, but I'd say Spider-Man really was in my book for my money.
Well, yeah, I guess that would be a timeline thing. But because really Blade was like the first watchable one.
Yeah.
X-Men was the first time that you had somebody that came out of the independent cinema world in Bryan Singer, and just do a movie that was like, oh look, it took these characters seriously.
What about Superman? I thought I remember liking Superman when I was a kid, when with Gene Hackman and all that.
And you could make the argument that Superman is a character that feels like those movies. Like it feels like big, fun, American dream saves the day, right? Whereas X-Men is a movie about brooding, the haves and have-nots and the other
and the outcasts, right? Yeah. And what happens when they come together and all this stuff. Yeah. There was somebody, I think we might have talked about this last week, but there was somebody was ranking all the best X-Men movies, and it broke my heart to see Logan in at number 3. And the only thing that stayed my hand from responding was reminding myself that he's ranking X-Men movies, and you probably can't put number 1 as a movie that has only 2 of the X-Men in it.
Yeah, I think it might be the best made of them. It might be the best written of them, but I would suspect that Marvel will take that and do with X-Men what they did with Guardians, and just say, let's pare it down, let's make it 4 or 5 people. We don't have to establish the entire school. Let's just do a great X-Men movie that plugs into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, building up to whatever other gigantic multi-billion-dollar platform they, want to advertise for.
Let's see. What do we got coming up next? I mean, you and I are pretty much out. Everything's over. Men in Black International. Is that going to make any money?
No. And in fact, have you seen the advertisements for that?
You know what's funny is I've heard none of them, but because I hang out at Torchies and the sports channels are always on, I've seen like 75 tie-ins where it's like, I think they've done more acting for tie-in commercials than they did in the actual movie itself.
So here's how you know the movie's going to be a total disaster. Number one, in the commercials, they are playing up the fact that both of these actors were in Thor Ragnarok. They like play up the idea where one of them's like, "Hey, you look familiar," and she's like, "Huh," and it's like, okay, you're only doing that because they were both the main characters in this other popular movie that a lot of people went to go see. So if you're hanging your hat on that and not like. They're referencing Thor Ragnarok in the commercials more than they are Men in Black, the franchise for which they are theoretically continuing, not Thor Ragnarok. And then the new commercial totally wraps around this like wacky alien friend, so it makes it look like a kids movie or something.
Oof. All right. Hey man, I guess what we do Diamond Time next. Or no, we do email. Mailbag.
We're gonna open up the mailbag.
Join us for drinks in the Diamond Club.
The Diamond Club. That sounds grand.
Super grand. This is the part of the show where we read your emails sent to mail at nightattack.tv. Like this one from Greg. Greg writes, subject line, Brian's balding. He writes,
God damn it.
Hold on.
This is, look, I share.
You opened the goddamn door, and there was a point in which somebody sent art to us, and it was about your hairline.
I didn't retweet that.
The only thing that I could see was just like, God damn, this is not what you said to Brian. Like, I don't want to. It was funny, but like, it was not something that. Like, I almost wanted to yell at you for even bringing it up.
Oh no, that's fine. Look, I'm an open book. I got nothing.
Here's what Greg says. Greg says, "Dude, I started losing my hair when I was in my early 20s. No joke. Knock it off." That's Greg's letter.
Knock off my fussin'. Yes, you are correct. At the age of 44, I am extremely gifted to still have hair. I am the only male in my nuclear family to still have any hair, so I'm a very happy person.
There you go. We got a letter here from Bobcat. Bobcat writes, this is for all. What's the one thing that you learned in your 2 weeks off from the show? So before last week, we had 2 weeks off with banked episodes, and we had some time, and we reused this normal Tuesday slot for
stop me if you've heard of this idea before. Taking a break from the grind of doing your show on a regular schedule at all times.
What do you feel like? Did you learn anything out of that?
The biggest thing for me was that really good episodes happen when we're all in the same room together, and I think that I am definitely permanently.
Sorry.
Yes. I am definitely married to the idea. I would never, ever, ever want to uncouple the show from the live things that we do. But I wonder if half the time it couldn't just be us in the studio doing. There was something about being super dialed in with each other and not looking, reading stuff on screens.
Yeah, I would say about the show, just. I don't know. It was great to be able to have the freedom to do it. And to be honest, all the lessons that I kind of learned from those episodes were kind of in just going down there before, like just making that decision, going down, wrapping my week around it and coming back and having it be kind of normal, to be totally honest with you. Mm-hmm. That was something where I was like, oh, cool. Like this is my life now. This was a fun thing that we could do, and I could take a vacation if only I spend a week in Austin, which, to be totally honest, is not the worst thing on the planet.
Yeah, it was fun. So
I learned a valuable lesson about friendship and persistence on my spring break, I think.
Wait, yeah, no, because it was another trip. Wait, did we come up to do your show?
Yeah, you came. Well,
you were here. I forgot.
Yes, was it South by Southwest that you were in town for?
That's what it was.
Oh, it was South by.
Because I came down for that, but I think I did that a couple of days later, maybe.
Well,
yes. Okay, yeah, that was South by. We came up, and then you came down for.
I think that sounds right.
That sounds right.
Man,
Yeah.
that was a late night followed by a 2-hour nap and then hopping on a plane and then landing and then drinking at a bar that going on Andrew Heaton's podcast.
That was good times.
That was good. And then we all went out and had sushi and drinks afterwards. And I was like, oh, I'm happy to drive you to the airport. And you were like, love? And I was like, oh, no, not jealous love.
Whoopsie doodle.
I'm just going to drop you off at the abandoned subway stop that they never finished.
Yeah,
It's next
no,
to
it
the
was like-
rock quarry.
How about you go ahead and drop us off at the other bar in this strip mall?
All right, man.
We have one last one
Oh,
that I
great.
think will be very good. It's a little meatier. This is from Miles. Miles writes, on the South by So Wasted VIP show, which is just out now for patrons, so subscribe to patreon.com/nightattack. You guys talked about your local magic competitions and how much fun it was to watch someone who is performing on stage for the first time. Second point, the show Wizard Wars has been described as a cooking competition with magic instead of food. So, do you think it could be viable to make a show that is basically Nailed It, but with magic? Get people who want to perform on TV but have no stage experience, give them a book and only show them how a trick is done, and give them an hour to figure out a routine.
All right, look, Bryce.
This is from Pop Sparky.
I'm going to need you to delete this from the podcast.
No.
And I need you to tell that person that his email was lost to the ether. It never showed up. And I'm going to be right back after a short meeting with our friends over at Netflix because I think that's a fucking great idea.
You'd have to. It has to be nice. Like the thing that makes Nailed It work is that it's nice.
Is that yeah? Well, and
What is Nailed It?
Okay, so
So it's home chefs. They get an hour. They get most of a recipe and all the ingredients to make it. And they make this beautiful thing that a professional could make in an hour, but a home cook could never make in an hour.
And it's based on the meme. They would always like you'd see these perfect Pinterest things, and then people would try to do the same thing at home, and they would be melted and distorted and awful. And then in impact font, it would
Like
just
this.
say "Nailed It." There you go, like this,
Yes,
like this
bad
Pikachu
Pikachu.
here. so the idea is that as a show.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which is great. I think that you could surround enough joy that one of the most fascinating things, and I might be up online, somebody might be able to find it, but The Prestige is one of my favorite movies of all time, and Hugh Jackman, of course, portrays a magician, but when he went on The Tonight Show, he was like, well, let me do a magic trick, right? And this is somebody, I mean, he's Hugh Jackman, right? And yet, in that context of performing live on the spot, knowing that you have to break your brain into two pieces, one that delivers the script, the other that acts like it's not trying to move its body in particular ways, you can see his fingers trembling, and you could see the awkward posture, and you could see him realizing for the first time what it is to perform magic. And he actually says, like, wow, this is harder than I thought. And then he he gets through the magic, and it's fine. But I wish more people. That's part of the reason that I'm such a big fan of trying to democratize magic with Scam School, is because I want more people to understand just how hard of a leap that is. I would love it. I don't know if it could be a celebrity thing.
I think that's ultimately the problem, is that at the end of the day, everybody knows what professional food looks like. Everybody knows what it's like to make food or have food made for you and look good or bad. Magic, unfortunately, I think for the art, has a very limited audience, because the only people that would know, oh, you screwed that up, or that looked bad, or that looked awkward, are people who understand the kind of method. So unless you're explaining, you're going into a like, oh no, this is exactly how it's done. This is how it's done by a professional. And now you watch this other person do it. I think even then you would run into a situation where people would be like, oh, okay, well, I guess that looks different. But you wouldn't really have that feeling of like, oops, I fucked up a recipe.
You know what? To be honest, as I'm hearing this and thinking it through, it feels a lot like what we call the C block of a traditional old school Scam School episode, because it was always find somebody at the bar, show a trick that looks awesome, explain how it's done, and then have them do it back to me. And these are people who are not magicians. And the reason for the C block is so that we can prove to the people at home that you don't have to be a magician, and they will naturally make the same mistakes that you would make at home. So we have a chance to educate and do whatever.
Nailed it. Wait, fucking, you already did. Would Nailed It with magic work? Yes. Brian did it for over.
I did it for 11 years. It was pretty great.
I can't believe that we just got here. Yes. In fact, it would work. Brian did it.
That's exactly right. Oh, man,
you
I'm
go.
so happy we got there.
Thank you, Baba Sparky. Mail at nightattack.tv is where you send those emails.
Oh, my gosh. All right, Andrew Heaton. For the uninitiated, you mentioned the Christmas episode. What other sampling should people take from Something's Off with Andrew Heaton?
If you're going to check it out, the Christmas episode's just fun. Absolutely worth checking out. Really, really funny. If you want to get an idea of what I was trying to do on the program, check out the one with Arthur Brooks. You'll get really deep into my head. And then after that, I would if you look for if you're a dork like me, if you're a nerd like me, there's ones that are called Alienating the Audience, where I do my best to shake you loose with as much science fiction as I possibly could. So like Monday's episode, I had on Ben Domenech from The Federalist. We talked about Blade Runner, and we did like at least 60 extraneous science fiction references over the course of it. It was really nerdy. I did at one point the politics of Star Wars. I had on Tim Sandifer. We talked about, like, we got way into like the Cold War neoliberalism of Star Trek, the original series, versus the 1980s emotionally receptive, the next generation. So alienating the audience if you're a sci-fi dork. If you just want to see funny stuff, Fridays were always called the Friday Release Valve, and it was just me yucking around with comedians. So I'd take your pick. But the top two I'd recommend, Snuffy's Christmas Special and the Arthur Brooks interview.
And meanwhile, if somebody wants to support you, they should go to patreon.com/Andrew Heaton.
Yeah,
Join
thank
in,
you.
and even if you don't want to support financially, if you want to know about the next thing, because we've talked and it's I've heard a bit of the work going into the next thing, and I'm very excited about it. Sign up at what? Andrew
MightyHeaton.com/newsletter.
All right, there we go. Done and done. In fact, I'm going to sign up right now, since my credit card won't
I'm
get
not
declined.
going to call you anymore. I have to.
Oh, Justin, what did we learn today, man?
Look, man, we learned that Bryce is a lake apologist.
We learned that every so often you can, even a broken clock is right twice a day, and you can learn something here on Night Attack.
I learned that Minnesota has the most clouds, and that the Australians built a wall to stop crabs from mating with dingoes. I think that's what I learned, right? Is that?
That's right.
Oh, I learned that we can't wait to have Andrew Heaton back on the show. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us,
for having
man.
me. This was fun, guys.
Oh, yeah. I learned that the political orphanage is now officially open for business.
Send us your orphans.
Hells,
that sounded weird.
Yes. Hey, man, not as weird as us saying to our beloved audience, love you guys, die in a fire.
See you next Tuesday.
I get so sad.
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, Bit
Oh,
Boss.
Bit Boss, Bit Boss.
Orobotosis 23 with 800 bits. You are the
Bitball.
Smooth.
I'm
Nailed
never
it.
ready for it.
We've always loved you the most.
Night attack. Night attack. Night attack. Night attack. I love you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.